Okay, kind of bored with the snow on the ground, so I thought I'd do a couple videos just highlighting a bunch of discs I've acquired recently, and I guess really in the last couple of years since I've gotten into the sport. Um, I'm in a position where I have to start weeding out some discs. They can't all go in the bag, and so I've got some overlap on several discs really, and so I'm going to have to really get out and start just throwing and kind of doing head-to-head comparisons. So I'm going to do some videos on that. I'll do a 9-speed stable, 9-speed understable, 9-speed overstable shootout, if you will, and we'll just see what the best 9-speed discs that I have in that area. I'll do the same thing for basically every disc. I'm going to start with putters though. I set up a basket in my garage. I haven't taken any footage of my putting practice right now, primarily because I'm in mid-construction at my house and my garage is a mess. I am rebuilding my deck. I've got extra tools in the garage, and then also I tore down my shed, and I'm going to rebuild that in the spring. And so I got a bunch of extra just storage stuff in the garage. So I've had to clear out a bunch of stuff, just push it all to the side, so I have room to practice putting. But I really don't want it on camera, to be honest with you. Not being finicky or anything like that. It's just it's a wreck. But I am going to just share my thoughts with. I've been throwing a lot of putts from about 20. Well, actually from different distances, but a lot at about 25 and or 20 and 25 feet. And I definitely feel like I'm starting to get better. I had a session today that I practiced where I went 15 for 15 from 25 feet. One thing I learned when I just am rapid fire throwing them, I tend to get offline and I'll miss 3 or 4 discs in a row, and then I got to reset. So I decided to do a practice where I treated each throw like it was my scoring putt. I know I've heard that recommendation. Usually they talk about it so that you're simulating an event, or you're simulating the shot really mattering. I did it more as a way to make sure I was focused and sticking to my technique. And I went 15 for 15, and actually none of them were like prayers. They were all solid. I was targeting a single link on a chain, and I hit that actual link from 25 feet several times. And I still have a lot of work to do for putting by all means. I've really just begun practicing putting, like really practicing. But I am feeling hopeful that I'm going to be able to improve. But I have thrown enough putts in the last week or so, probably 500 or 600 putts, where I'm starting to get a sense of what I feel about putters better, like which putters I like, because I have a bunch of different putters. Some with beads, some a little wider rim, different speeds. And I'm just going to make some commentary on that. I have 15 putters. I didn't seek out to go get 15 putters, but I bought a few mystery boxes, which you can watch those openings on videos. And each mystery box, from whether it was Dynamic Discs, which I bought a while ago, or I bought 2 MVP Gyropalooza discs box, one from 2021, one from 2022, and I recently bought Discmania Stratosphere box and a black box, and every one of those came with multiple putters. And then I bought a couple putters here and there. I have a couple starter set putters, so I have 15 putters. Not 15 completely different. Some are duplicates, but I have thrown a bunch of different putters, and so I kind of got an interesting perspective on that. And I've learned a couple things about myself as I'm doing it. Some as far as I feel. So I'll just mention a few of these putters and how I feel about them, and some of my thoughts that have changed on it. I'll give you an example. There's a couple putters in this stack that I thought for sure going in they were going to be my favorite putters based on the profile, and for some reason I'm not putting as well with them. So I'll mention one other thing. The feel of the rim, whether there's a bead or not, has way less impact on me than I thought it was going to. And one thing, I know a lot of people can be very finicky about wanting a putter to feel a really specific way. maybe it's because I'm practicing for it, because of the nature of how many putters I have, different putters, or maybe it's just I'm trying to have the right mindset for it. I really am not noticing a big difference in performance, successes with a particular style. But I will mention a few flight patterns that I've noticed in weight. So, first thing I've got here is a Lucid Judge 2-speed 4-glide 01. Many people are very familiar with the Dynamic Disc Judge. This is a putter that I've had in and out of my bag the last year or two, and I never really felt that comfortable with it. It never quite flew the way I thought it was going to fly. I'm realizing now I just had inconsistent form. Actually, the more I practice and really just kind of work on my form, the more this putter has kind of shined. And this one is probably going to go in the bag. And most of my putters are firm, very firm and stiff. This is one of the few flexible putters. And I'm not quite sure why, but I just feel like there are times, I haven't quite pinpointed it, but I feel like there are times where I'm going to need that. And so I think this is going to go in the bag. I'm still, I would just say the jury's still out on a lot of this, but I'm just telling you where some of my thinking has started to go. This does have a bead on it, and I think if I had a choice between bead or no bead, like I said, it doesn't really affect my effectiveness so far, but I think I'd probably choose a bead versus no bead. It's kind of just a finger rest. Although I know a lot of people, and I think maybe even I'm doing more of this, put the finger more right on top rather than kind of off to the side like that. One of the things I'm noticing with my technique is I'm really kind of, it's almost like I'm throwing a playing card. And what I mean by that is my fingers, I'm using a fan grip, and my fingers, rather than pinching the disc and then releasing, my fingers are almost just kind of holding the disc up against my thumb, if that makes sense. Like if I let my thumb go, it would just kind of fall, and I'm not pinching tight. And so my fingers are tossing the disc into the basket. And when I do it that way, I am way, way more consistent, and I feel way more confident. And part of the confidence is when I do it that way, my eyes stay locked for some reason. Maybe it's just a mental note, but my eyes stay locked in on the single chain link that I'm focused on. If I start pinching it, or if I start like really trying to like do different things, for some reason I tend to like lose grip on it, or lose focus for some reason. So I'm really working on just like having it sit in my hand the right way, and the finger puts a little, the pointer finger puts a little pressure on there too. That's kind of the grip I'm working on. I'm realizing the grip does matter a lot, and the way you release it. So the Judge, again, Judge is a good disc that I seem to be, is one of my better discs so far, performing wise. Another disc I have is this Discmania Sensei. This is another one where, this one I actually going in, no bead by the way, this one going in I thought was going to be, well, first of all, I had automatically just written it off as, like a starter kit disc that I didn't really need to throw. But the rigidity of it flies very true, especially a little bit more spin that you put on it. And I noticed like with a guy like Paul Macbeth, he throws, at least when he's practicing, he throws his putting. The putter's always a little bit on an angle, and it just kind of goes in and hyzers into the basket, a little bit on a hyzer angle, and it just kind of fades into the basket, I should say. And so this does that very consistently. It doesn't have a tendency to swoop. I mean, eventually, if I'm standing far enough back, it will. But this is a decent disc. Now, after I had written it off as being just kind of a useless beginner kit disc, I've thrown a lot of it, and it's got a little bit of a shorter rim than some of these other ones, and I think I like that. And it's got a really flat top, so the profile overall is kind of thinner, and I think I like that. That seems to be something I'm preferring for disc. So again, very different than the Judge, which I just said I really like the Judge. The Judge has more of a scooped deeper rim, rounded edge, and kind of a concave. In fact, this one, I'm not sure why, but it's a little wonky. I think I had it stored or something weird in it. I don't know. But so I like both, but they're very different from each other. This next one is a Prime Star Judge. I guess they call it Prime Plastic, or Prime Plastic with the burst. This is a starter kit. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab these. I have 2 of these and a guard. They all came out of our early starter kits that I had bought. So let me grab that. There's my last one. So 2 judges, really I guess counting the Lucid Plastic, 3 judges and a guard. And again, these, even though they were like starter kit putters, these are, I'm making these as consistently as any of the others. They do have a bead on them. I throw them pretty good. The guard I do not like as much. And I think this is more of a throwing putter. It's supposed to be more stable than the Judge. I haven't really noticed that. I don't like the rim on the guard. And even though the speed rating is the same, I feel like it's more blunt edged. The guard, I'm not a fan. For some reason, it just doesn't feel as good. And I feel a little bit more inconsistent with this putter than many of the others, including these Judges. If I only had these 2 Judges and that Lucid Judge in my bag for putting putters, I wouldn't be mad. I actually really haven't minded these at all. I'm putting well with them. They feel decent in my hand. When I'm grabbing one at a time out of my stack and throwing them, I mentally, like when I grab one of these, I'm like, oh yeah, I can definitely make this one. For some reason, it just has that. There's a confidence with throwing that. Whereas the guard, it's almost the opposite. Like, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to miss this one. Now, I think if you looked at statistically, it's probably not that way, but it's just this feel. Now, that being said, by the time I narrow everything down to my 2 or 3 throwing putters, putting putters, I'm not so sure any of the Judges are going to be in my bag. Maybe the Lucid Judge, because there's some other ones that I'm enjoying too. But I would not be mad if these were my putting putters. That's all I had. These I felt pretty good throwing. The guard, not so much. So 3 Judges. The guard is out. The Sensei is a maybe. The Sensei has been decent. And I do like the way this active plastic feels. I think that active is just their base plastic, but I actually kind of like that, the way it feels. I found this Link putter in the woods last season, and I've been using it a lot as like a throwing putter. Similar numbers as the Judge. This is a EXO Soft, so it's pretty bendy. I can make putts with it too. I think I'm probably going to pull it out of my bag. In fact, I actually recently did pull it out of my bag. It's a little beat up. It's actually very reliable, but there's others that I think I like better. But I don't know. I'm actually a little on the fence about it. But I will say this. I'm not going to use it as a throwing putter anymore. I only have 2 putters that I've actually kind of like as throwing putters. I'll explain those in a minute. And then, frankly, I prefer to throw a stable mid over a throwing putter. I'll show you a couple of those in another video. But I'd rather throw like a 4 or 5 speed mid, stable or slightly understable, instead of a throwing putter. Now I know a lot of people. I've heard like James Conrad plays with a putter a lot, throws a lot of putters. I don't know. I'm not there right now. So Link's questionable. This is an EXO Logic from Discmania. And I actually thought that I was going to love putting with this putter when I first grabbed it. Low profile, similar to the Sensei. It's actually very similar feel to the Sensei. Very similar. But the flight is different. The nose is a little more blunt, a little rounded, I guess. Um, I have not been putting well with it, and it might just be a coincidence, small sample size, but so far this is not a high confidence putter for me. I thought for sure I was going to be able to just get up and this is going to be one of the ones that I could bank on, kind of like I was telling you those judges are. But so far it has not been. So I'll say the jury's still out. I think one thing you've noticed so far, I've only held up uh, 4 dynamic discs and 3 Discmanias. You'll see that some of that more of that trend, a couple of variations. Um, I think those 2 companies are as good as any for putters, obviously, and I don't necessarily, I wouldn't be mad if that's all I have, but I'll show you some other things. So that one, jury is still out, but so far not as in love with it as I thought I'd be. So again, if I only bagged the Logic, the Link, and the Sensei, I think if I had to pick, I'd probably take the 3 judges over these 3. Which I'm surprised about. I actually went in to my practices thinking it was going to be the exact opposite. So that's interesting. Next little batch, I'll show you this one. This is a Hero disc mold, extra light, 149 grams. This is not going to be in the bag at all. It's just so that I have enough putters to practice with. This is not a high confidence putter, but it's kind of neat. It's actually one that I don't mind. I don't know. I can't think of the application at my level of play. I'm not officially a 900 rated, but I think I'm probably in that range based on the way I've been scoring at some pretty tough courses around. So this one is an Innova stamp. Innova stamps these Hero discs, or they did for a while. I don't know if they still are, but this one is just almost kind of gimmicky. This is, I believe, an Envy from Axiom. I just got this. Yeah, this is an Envy Glow. And I also just got this Envy. This is not a Glow. I don't remember what plastic this is. Maybe Electron. Yes, like Electron, Cosmic Electron, maybe. I really like these. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about them. Obviously, I think the intention behind an Envy is that they're a throwing putter. I've been putting well with them too. So there's a pretty good chance one of these is going to be in my bag. I got to think about if it's replacing something else or if it's just going to be an addition. I'm not sure if I've decided that. I like them both, but they are different from each other in terms of the way they feel and the way they throw. Different weights. I can't remember exactly what weights they are. I have another video where I talk about that. I think they look great. I think they feel pretty good. They spin pretty good. I'm leaning towards making an all glow disc bag. I've got enough things I'll show you in another video. And if that's the case, then that one won't be in my primary bag. And so this one might end up being in my primary bag for a throwing putter. But I've been actually putting well with it too, so that's interesting. This is another glow putter from MVP. I think this is an Axiom. What is this one? Oh, it's a Proxy. I gotta look up what the Proxy is. I think this is more of a throwing putter too. I've been putting well with it. This one I don't have an issue with. I don't know much about this one, but again, this will probably just end up in my glow bag. I don't think it's going to go in the bag. I don't think it does anything enough different from everything else or better than anything else where it's going to replace something or where it has to fill a spot in the bag. But I'm going to definitely practice throwing it in the field and see before I completely rule that out. Now this is a Keystone from Latitude 64. It's a well-known disc. I got this in my Discmania mystery box last year. And if I didn't just spin I'm sorry, not Discmania, Dynamic Disc Mystery Box, Trilogy. If I didn't just spend a bunch of money on boxes recently, I would buy another Trilogy box on Amazon. I've been kind of itching to do that because I just like the surprises and figuring out what you get. But this is one of the real gems that came out of that box. I didn't have much expectation for it. I just thought it was a regular putter with weird numbers 7, 5, 1, -1, 1. I had never seen a putter that was rated as a 7-speed. And I'm not sure it can handle 7 full out. I don't, maybe 7 isn't accurate. I know a lot of people say Latitude 64, and especially West Side. The numbers aren't great. But I will say that this is a good throwing putter. And for me, this putter is much more understable than the numbers would indicate. And so I use this putter. This has been in my bag for more than a year. And I use this putter a lot for backhand curves in the woods. And it'll hold an Anheuser. It's a little dramatic, the Anheuser. The understable turnout is kind of a little too dramatic sometimes. But if I throw it flat, it'll turn as well. And so this is one of my 2 go-to woods backhand right turning discs, along with the Latitude 64 Fuse. Conversation for another day. So this is staying in the bag. The other thing I've noticed is I'm actually putting really well with it from 20 to 25 feet out. So that was interesting too. But this is a good disc. So maybe this and the Envy are my 2 throwing putters, and jury's still out on my putting putters. Next, I've got 2 more Discmania. These are P2s, which obviously are very famous putters. What will I say about the P2? It's a little deeper rim than like the Sensei or the Logic, which I didn't think I would like it as much, but I'm getting a pretty clean release on it. They are not, they're both, but they're both P2s. They don't throw the same, they don't feel exactly the same. I would say so far they have not left a huge imprint on me. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them yet. I mean, I make a lot of putts with them, but they don't feel special in my hand. The rim feels a little thick. I think I like the Sensei better. And personally, because I like the Sensei, the Logic feels very similar to the Sensei. I would think that it would be, I should like both of those better. But again, I haven't been making the Logic. It seems that maybe it's just a quirk of low sample size, but that's something I got to work out. So I'm not convinced that these are going in the bag. They're definitely not going to be my throwing putters. I think that's going to be reserved for the Envy and the Keystone. But I haven't really thrown them in the field either, so the proof will be in the pudding with those. And finally, my Anode. This has been in my bag for more than a year, and I was really thinking of this as my primary putting putter. And honestly, it's kind of underperformed against some of these other putters in terms of trying to make them. Now I can make a decent number with them, but it's for some reason I don't have as much confidence throwing this one. It might be this one's a little light. There does seem to be a certain weight, maybe somewhere around 165, that is more confidence inducing. Maybe they're 172s actually. Now I mention it. So I don't know. I'm not blown away with the performance of this one, even though this has been in my bag for a while. I might pull this out for a little while and maybe revisit it. I'm still practicing. I reserve the right to make some change my mind on some of this stuff, but we'll see. I do like the looks of this putter, and I like MVP stuff. I've never really had much success throwing this one. It doesn't really do much for me. So I'm thinking it's not going to be in the bag. So right now, what I'm leaning towards is either bagging these 2 as my primary throwers, the Sensei and the Logic, but even though I said I haven't been happy with the Logic, And then maybe a backup thrower with this link. I'm sorry, not thrower, putting putters. Or the Judges, so that there's some consistency there. And again, I've actually liked throwing these. Or maybe the P2s. But like I said, I haven't liked these as much. So I'm not sure. We're not sure yet. I will figure it out. What I think I have figured out is the Keystone and the Envy are definitely going in the bag. And then maybe I'll just experiment. See, maybe it'll be based on how I feel. The other thing I'll mention is I'm a little disappointed at how marred up the dynamic disc putters have gotten real quickly, just from practice. I haven't even been outside with them yet. So that's a factor too. The Judges are super durable, super durable. So maybe I'm leaning towards the Judges, even though I don't love that prime plastic. I don't love the way it feels. I have been putting well with it. So anyways, we will stay tuned. We'll see.